and good day. Welcome back to our vlog called Let's Talk About Sax. And we're very, very lucky to have with us today one of the country's premier female saxophone players. She actually came from Jakarta, Indonesia, and she's here sharing her gift of music with us. She's part of the AMP Big Band and a lot of other groups as well, and we'll get into that as soon as we talk to her. Please welcome on the program Roxy Modesto. Roxy, welcome, and thank you for accepting my invitation to join us this
No,
evening.
of course. It's about an instrument we're all a little passionate about, so it's very good to talk about it.
Great, great. Thank you for joining us. All right, let's get the ball rolling. First off, of course, let me ask, how did you get into playing the saxophone? Is this your first instrument, or did you start off when you were very, very young? What can you
Um,
tell us about this?
it was really by chance,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. My friends in the international school in Jakarta, they were all joining band and not
Okay,
orchestra.
all right.
So I said I wanted to join my friends in band, and
Mm-hmm.
so I went ahead with them. I actually wanted to play trumpet or percussion.
All right.
But everybody wanted to play saxophone for some reason. So our band director, Miss Davidoff, she put all our names together
Mm-hmm.
and put in a hat, and my name was the third pick out of the
Okay,
hat.
all right.
And so I figured, oh, why not? Let's just go with saxophone, and here we are,
Oh,
doing
okay.
it for real.
All right.
Yeah.
So, is it all right if I ask you what around what age were you then when that thing happened?
This was grade 6, so like I was around 12 years old
Mm-hmm.
back in '99, around
All
then.
right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
something like that.
a lot of the guys are starting to do the math now and figuring out how old you are. Anyway, all right. So, you've been based in Jakarta for so long, but wait,
Oh,
let me just clarify things. You're a Filipina, right? Or
yes, I'm Filipino by passport. So I was born here in the Philippines, and I
all right.
moved to Jakarta when I was about a month old. So
Oh, okay.
my
Any
first
specific?
time coming back was when I was 17.
All right. Specific reason why you moved to Jakarta? Work for
It
parents? Or?
was it was my mother's job actually. She had
I
the
see.
opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
head the office here. She was with
Mm.
in an advertising agency.
Oh, okay. Would you like to share with
So
us the name of the advertising agency, or is that a secret?
um, formerly Lintas, but now Low,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Or well, when she retired, it was
Mm.
Low. So
I see. So you were there for 17 years of your life, and when you were in 12 years old, I guess, no, you were supposed to join the band, the school band, and you were asked to choose. And luckily for you, or I guess
yeah,
you wanted really the trumpet, but you were chosen to play the saxophone. Did they provide the saxophone for you over at
yes.
school?
So
Hmm.
yeah, so I was playing on rentals.
Hmm.
I was renting instruments till I moved to the Philippines and was taking the music a little bit more seriously.
Oh, I see. All right, but this is an interesting fact because, as far as I know, you play the baritone sax, correct?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So,
It was just a voice that resonated with me more than alto. I started on alto for about
mm,
2 weeks,
two
and then
weeks.
there was no yeah, and then there was no bass in the band. Nobody
Okay.
wanted to play tuba or euphonium or any of the lower register instruments. So
Correct.
she took out a Barry one day and she was like,
Hmm.
okay, here, it sounds like this. Who wants to play this? Okay, why not? You know, yeah.
Uh, that's a cool story because most of the people I know would go for alto or even a soprano because it really takes lead
Hmm.
during
Yeah.
an ensemble or something like that. But
Uh-huh.
did you have a hard time playing the Barry because it's a big for you? And what's your height, if I may ask, if that's all right to ask you?
I'm about 5'1",
Hmm.
5'1",
So are
and
you
I don't know.
having a
I feel
difficult
like
time?
when I was younger, I felt like it was like nothing at all. But now
Hmm.
that I'm getting a little older, it's like, oh, it is pretty heavy. Oh, it's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But I didn't really think about it when I was starting out. It was just something that resonated with me and kept going.
I see. So after 2 weeks of playing the alto, your band leader, your teacher, gave you the baritone. Did somebody teach you, or
Oh
how
no,
did you go about it?
it was really like in band that we learned our instruments, and
Hmm.
then like sectionals, but it was all like kind of group learning.
Okay. And of course, you were taught to read notes, I suppose.
Yes, yeah.
Mm.
Right off the bat, like reading was a big thing for sure.
Oh, so that was part of the curriculum, I suppose. Being
Oh
able to.
yes,
Great. So
yes,
this is part
for
of
sure.
the. This is part of your subject or studies, or this is an extra curricular thingy for school.
It was part of the arts program for sure. Like
Hmm.
symphonic band was part of the arts program.
Oh wow.
And then jazz band was like extracurricular. That was after school,
Okay.
once a week. Yeah.
So did you join the jazz band as well?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Oh, that's good to know.
Um, yeah, for like right off the bat, because like symphonic band is fun, but like there was something about jazz, and of
Hmm.
course, like listening to my father's like CDs, like oh, there's something about this music that I like,
All
and
right.
now that I can apply that to this
Oh,
thing. So,
I see. Okay. Since you mentioned your father, the next well, I guess question would be: is there anybody else in the family that's musically inclined aside from you?
no,
So it's just you.
just me.
Oh
Yes, I
wow.
do have my mom's cousin, Nino
Mm-hmm.
Hernandez is a he's a
Hmm.
flautist but and an artist, but
Oh.
otherwise not really.
Oh, so
Nobody really in music.
how did your parents take this? Finding out that our daughter is into music. She's actually playing the saxophone. How did they take it? Or was it a welcome thing for
They're
them?
actually they were pretty surprised.
Hmm.
Not so much welcomed because I was already gigging.
Really?
About 2 weeks, yeah, 2 weeks into my first year at UP, I was already gigging and staying out late,
Ah.
you know.
Okay. This is when you
So
returned to the Philippines, I suppose.
yes.
Okay.
Because I guess I mean it's a rare thing, baritone. I didn't realize until that first rehearsal with UP Jazz.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not to sound egoistic or even racial or whatever you want to call it, but being a girl, that is something different. Being able to gig around at around what 18, 19.
Yeah,
When you were in UP.
18.
Yeah. So
Around 18. Because
wow.
I was like, oh, she can drive now and
Hmm.
do the
She's on her
things.
own.
And
Yeah. Oh.
yeah.
So you were well. I guess you are an independent kind of a person then.
Oh, yes, for sure.
I see.
I'm the sort of person that can travel by herself.
Hmm.
Like, that's completely fine for me.
I see.
But yeah,
Well, based from what I've seen in your Facebook account, you've been to a lot of places like the States, of course, Asia, and all those
yeah.
other places, and you've been going around alone. I think. No? If I'm
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Do you have any
Yeah.
siblings, sisters, brothers?
I have one sister.
Younger, older?
Uh, she's older than me by a year.
Hmm.
Yeah, we started in band. She was playing clarinet and I was playing saxophone, but she only did it for a year. I kept going all throughout high school, middle school.
Okay. So, what kept you
Yeah.
playing? That's a good point to discuss. What kept you playing all these years? Well, in high school first. What kept you playing?
In high school, middle school, it was just that feeling of, I guess, community
Hmm.
as well, just like being in a big group and then doing this thing that feels good, right?
Hmm. I see.
Playing music together and like really like the sounds and all of it together, and then all sorts of people from all around the world in this band, and
Yeah.
of course making trouble in big band.
Right.
I feel sometimes very sorry for my band director in high school because we make a lot of trouble.
Really? Wow. There must have been a lot of
Yeah.
fun during those days, huh?
Yeah, it was fun. Good
Hmm.
times.
So
Yeah.
it is an international. Yeah, sorry,
I'm still
you
in
were saying.
touch with a lot of my bandmates from then. So
Oh, that's nice to hear. It is an international school, I was saying, and that means a lot of your bandmates and schoolmates are of different nationalities. So it was a melting
hmm
pot of some sort, no?
Oh yes, for sure. I have, a couple of Japanese sisters that,
Hmm.
one plays saxophone, the other plays trombone. Americans, of course. Korean, like we had a Korean girl on bass
Hmm.
and piano. It was a good mix. And of course, the male female aspect of it was also pretty equal
Oh,
as well.
wow. Okay.
So, yeah. So
So,
coming from that
mhm.
to UP, where it was a lot of dudes,
Dudes. Yeah, dudes. They're all
a
around.
little different.
So,
Yeah.
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 So, okay. High school passed, and you came back here to the Philippines with your family, and you decided to enroll in UP, College of
hmm
Music. Mhm. And the decision
Yes.
was because you thought, well, I'm going to make this a career, or I'm just going to go for it and continue my music. What made you decide to go on with your music?
Um, Actually, when I entered UP, I went through music to maybe go to film. I was meaning to transfer,
Hmm.
but 2 weeks into the first year at the College of Music, I was already gigging, so it was a lot of
Hmm.
fun. And I said, why don't I just stick with this and then see, where it'll take me.
Mm, okay. Here's a little secret that I'd like to share with you and to our viewers. I did the same thing. I went through the College of Music to get into another course, and that was my way into UP because I flunked UPCAT.
Oh my. I was like,
I
oh,
know, right? Yeah, well, did you take UPCAT? Did you?
yes, I did. I actually took UPCAT and I passed for UP Baguio.
Oh, okay.
But when I passed,
Mhm.
I was like in Bacolod for a basketball tournament with anyway, I played basketball my first year in the Philippines instead of music.
You did.
Um yeah, it was a very weird time, weird
Uh-huh.
transition.
Yeah.
Um so I was like not ready to make the move to UP Baguio, but I knew I was gonna pass the theory exam at UP College of Music. It was going to be my second time taking it. I didn't pass the first time.
Oh, okay.
Um, when I entered the UP College of Music, I took it
Hmm.
when I was and still in high school because I had to take a trip in the middle of the school year
Hmm.
in Jakarta to take the exam and
Right.
then come back.
Right.
But I didn't pass because I was waitlisted, and then
Hmm.
they said that there was a lack of faculty. I think Mike Guevara at the time had like too many students, so
Oh.
they didn't. They said we don't know what to do. Take it again next year, and then yeah.
Well, that's good to know that it's not really your fault. It was lack of faculty. That's
I
you
get
know.
well. It's just Mike over there, so
Yeah.
all right.
The time was it really just Mike the time?
I think so because I think Joey was doing just the extension program and
Hmm.
not I think it was just still Mike. It was just Mike, like at the time.
How
So
about Tots? Wasn't he there at the time? Oh, he was in UST. Sorry.
he was at UST already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. 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 Sorry. My
Um,
mistake.
my parents wanted me to go to UP instead of USC.
I see.
There,
All
my
right.
mother's side, they all went to UP. So
Yeah.
like like the kids have to do the same thing.
Well, yeah, we have this thing about being in the same school as our parents.
Oh yeah, the
That's a to-
culture of schools here is very interesting.
Right, right. Okay. So, how different was it from the international school in Jakarta when you got here? Was it totally different? Was it something you were
Oh,
expecting?
it was very different. So different because I'd never really had Filipino friends
Hmm.
growing up in
Hmm.
Jakarta.
Oh,
So coming to the Philippines, it was kind of forcing me to like, oh, well, you can't beat them. You have to just join them. And it's
right.
like everybody is Filipino, which was very
Hmm.
cool,
Hmm.
actually. So, but the thing with UP is that because like the my in the symphonic band in UP, everybody is from different provinces.
Right, right.
So that was great to like be in the middle of all that and like sitting there sitting to myself. There are all sorts of Filipinos from all over.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was very cool.
Oh, great.
Um,
Um, yeah.
yeah, it was still
Um,
an adjustment though, for sure.
okay, I'm sure. Coming from an international school. All right. So you mentioned you auditioned twice, and
Yes.
on the second time, you were fortunate enough to get in. What was the audition process? What did you use? You used your baritone sax or alto, or can you tell us about that?
I definitely I brought out the Barry for sure.
All right. Mm-hmm.
The first
Okay.
time I auditioned on the instrument, I actually had to borrow a baritone from the International School of Manila
Mm-hmm. Okay.
because I didn't own my own instrument yet. I was still renting from the
Oh,
Jakarta International School.
I see.
And so since they are, sister schools, my band director made sure, okay, if you're going to audition,
Mm-hmm.
like take it seriously.
Yeah.
Borrow an instrument from there instead of taking one of ours because it's a big risk,
Right.
to bring it onto a plane and it coming
Mm-hmm.
back as well. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I borrowed a bari sax from ISM. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
so much. It was in terrible shape, but I,
Oh.
I made it happen.
So okay,
um, yeah.
you were inclined to use a loaner from ISM,
Uh-huh.
and you were saying that it was in terrible shape, but you were able to pull it off. So
Terrible
good
shape.
for you. So when did you decide to get your own instrument?
Um, I mean, I already told my parents, like, okay, the second time I do this audition, I kind of
Hmm.
want to have my own instrument.
Right.
So,
Hmm.
what had happened was my tito in Canada, they're
Right.
Canadian in Vancouver, he
Hmm.
was like very into ordering things from eBay and like really like looking through,
Hmm.
you
Right.
know. So he found me a really great deal on a baritone. It was maybe like $1,500 or something. Like that's a pretty good deal, like
Oh
in
yeah.
terms
Oh.
of like today.
Hmm.
So what had happened was, so he won the auction,
Hmm.
and so my parents said, okay, this is our gift to you. Now it's just a matter of shipping it
Right.
from
Canada.
there to yeah, from Canada to Manila.
Hmm.
And so I think my tita knew someone from Cathay Pacific, and they had brought it in their cargo.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that was a cool thing that happened. And it's been my baritone ever since. And I still have it.
Oh wow.
Works like a dream. I've never had the inclination to really look for another berry. I mean, if this is still in great shape.
So all these
So,
years, you're still using the same Barry. Is that what
oh
you're
yes.
telling me now? Wow. Can you tell us
Oh yeah.
the brand or the yeah the brand of the baritone sax you're using?
This it's a CR Kessler,
Mhm.
and well, Kessler now is under Kessler Custom now in Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Mhm.
So I had actually emailed them about the serial number and all, like I wanted to know the background on this horn.
Right.
Of course, because it's a very unique finish. It's
Mhm.
a little heavy. I mean, it's a little heavier than the Yamahas I was playing in high school and middle school.
Right.
Um, but when I went to Taiwan in 2009, they were telling me this is out of Taiwan, and
Oh.
Kessler just brands it pretty much.
Oh. Okay.
So they were on that trend of having their horns made in Taiwan, and then
Then branding it on as their own. Yeah. Well.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope that wasn't a disappointment for you finding
Oh,
that out.
not at all.
Oh,
not at
okay.
all. Because I mean, the Taiwanese horns, if you find a really good Taiwanese made horn, you're kind of like in
Hmm.
good shape.
Mm,
There are a lot of brands now, so it's kind of it's hard to choose
right.
which brand to go with.
I see. Okay. Or I really don't know a lot of people to play the baritone saxophone, so I'm very, very lucky
Oh
to
yeah.
have you with
Oh,
us
thank you.
this evening. What else can you tell us about it? Like the mouthpiece that you use, your reeds, or
Oh,
Mhm.
oh, like a gear rundown.
Yeah, yeah, please.
So I'm on a Jody Jazz DV New York. I actually bought this mouthpiece off of Sir Mel because
Hmm.
he wasn't using it, and I have on my tenor. It's the same mouthpiece. So a Jody Jazz DV New
Jody
York.
Jazz. Right.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the kind of reed
And
that you use.
reeds. Well, right now I'm on a Rico plastic cover, size 3
All right.
for Barry, and for tenor, I'm in like I actually just found my hoard, my little stash of reeds, so I'm kind of going through the brands and seeing which ones I like.
Hmm.
Um, because I mean we have a lot of time now to like
Right.
do that stuff.
Correct.
I like, what are really like good reads now, and they're becoming very, very popular is the reads out of the Boston Sax Shop
Hmm.
with Jack Finnecane. Very good reads. Very big core. Like the ramp is a little bigger. I had to look for a ligature to fit it. But the projection is something I can't really like it's you can compare it to the Ricos are very good, obviously, and very like widely available. But these like the projection is so different, and so
Right.
like it's big, like really
Hmm.
big sound.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, if you have the $35 to spare for a box of reeds,
Right.
the Boston Sax Shop, very good reeds. I'm actually thinking about getting another box for tenor and then maybe trying out their berry reeds as well. But
All
we'll
right.
see. I mean, shipping now might be a little difficult.
That's right. Sorry. How much did it cost you for a box of reeds and plus shipping?
Oh, well, I mean, I had it shipped to my tita in Atlanta,
Hmm.
and my mother was visiting her, so she basically just took whatever.
Oh,
So shipping within the US is free, or
right.
it's like not a lot.
Hmm.
But it was about $30 for a box of
For a
reeds.
box
So
of
yeah.
12s, 10s.
Ooh, no, fives.
That's
That's why they're
expensive.
very expensive.
Yes, it is expensive. Wow.
Yeah, they're expensive. But I mean, if you have the luxury and the
Hmm.
privilege to try, yeah, Boston Sax Shop, very good reads. Otherwise, Rico's are great. The plastic covers are great.
I see.
Um, the blue box, orange box, I'm on an unusual size for tenor. So I really always have to import my reeds.
I see.
Fortunately, unfortunately. But yeah.
Well, have you tried the synthetic reeds, the Jerry and all
Yes,
those? And how did you
actually, I
find them?
have.
How did you find them? So.
I'm not a fan of Leger,
Hmm.
unfortunately. I did have a berry plastic reed for a little bit when I couldn't
Hmm.
find reeds for berry sax.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Um, but I lost it. Like I don't know where it is.
Oh.
It was effective for a little while, but I
Hmm.
mean, it's not the same, as cane.
Right. Right.
My friend Pingwei for in the saxophone store in KL, he gave me a Japanese brand. I forget what it is, but
Hmm.
it's a black bamboo, like
Oh, it
synthetic
coat
something.
could be a coated reed. I guess.
And not like it's plastic, but it's not like the plastic covers where it's coated, right?
Right. Right.
It is plastic, but I
Hmm.
mean they have this like branding to it, like black bamboo or something.
I see.
Um, it works sometimes. Like it's hit or miss. It
Hmm.
depends on the gig.
Right.
For tenor, I do have a fiber cell, I think, with the hemp. the hemp
Right.
fiber. Oh, the
Mm-hmm.
fiber reed. Sorry, the
I see.
fiber reed with the hemp. It's a little too hard for me. So if
Right.
I could, you know, but
And
I'm
it,
not a big fan of this synthetic business. The cane
uh,
is much better for me, even though
well,
it's more work and you have to take more time.
yeah, and care of it as well, right? It
Mm.
is
Hmm.
personal preference. Wanting the cane reed instead of the synthetic ones.
Oh
Okay,
no, for sure,
you're right.
for sure, for
Um,
sure.
the other baritone saxophone, I guess I've seen is Mel Villena. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
he has a very nice P Marriott.
Oh.
Um, it's very nice. And
Uh-huh.
I think, I mean, he was playing Barry Sax and UP Jazz like before I was.
Hmm.
So, I mean, because the lineage for Barry Sax at UP is very small. It's like
Right.
maybe
Right.
four guys or something.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Aside from
that was fun. I
yourself,
mean,
Mel, who else do you
Mel,
know?
Gilbert, may he rest in peace.
Okay.
And, oh, JD Villanueva.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He plays Barry. He was the first guy I actually met out right off the bat that said I'm a Barry player, and I was like,
Mm,
oh my god,
UP,
you
yeah.
know.
JD,
Yeah,
that's
but you
right.
know that network at UP, it was very small, but I felt very like included, with those
Mm,
guys, even though there's only like the four of us or something.
yeah. And you're the only girl, I'm guessing.
Yes.
So
Yes,
there you go.
I didn't realize how rare this was until setting up for that first UP Jazz rehearsal. Setting
Mm,
up and not really paying attention to what's around me, but
hmm.
then like finally sitting in my seat and then looking around and like there are 30 males in this room.
Uh-huh.
um, do women not play? What's going on?
Right, right, right.
So I didn't really realize like that was also an adjustment pain for me. Like, oh, there are no
Mhm.
women doing this thing.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful in AMP Big Band for my bandmates and Gail, obviously.
Mm.
So Gail Blanco Viduya and Nicole Tejedor and
Hmm.
Vanessa Celestial. I love our little
Band of women.
um, yeah, because we have to represent for to the Philippines and the world.
Right,
Not too
right.
many women are doing it. So yeah.
Mm.
Um,
Oh, okay. Well, aside from the fact that there are not a lot of women playing the saxophone, well,
mm,
as far as I know, you're the only one I know playing the baritone saxophone. So great, good to have you. All right, you were mentioning you have a tenor sax as well. When did
yes.
that come about? You're starting
Ooh.
out with a tenor, or is
Well, no,
this?
it was Barry. It was Barry all the way through, and then it was
Mhm.
about 2010.
Right.
2010, it was kind of like, well, I'm not getting a lot of gigs
Hmm.
on Barry, and I don't
Right.
want to play alto, so I might as well find a tenor somewhere and like try to get other gigs and like try to
Hmm.
get this voice into like my being.
Right. Hmm.
So I found a really good deal. His name was Anton. I think he was part of Sax Society like when it started out,
Okay.
and then he moved to the U.S. and
Hmm.
he gave up his tenor to me because he needed the cash to emigrate to the U.S.
Right.
And so he gave me a really great price on it, and I still have it. Like that's still my workhorse.
And
Um, I
may we
love
know the brand, the tenor?
it's a Yamaha.
Hmm.
It's a Yamaha TS100. So it was, I think, the 90s. I think it's a
Hmm.
90s horn because
Right.
I've seen the vintage Yamahas from like the 70s and the 80s. It's like they're all made a little bit different.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to get another tenor, but but it's a great horn because it's light. It's not so heavy.
Hmm.
But I'm on the same mouthpiece, and then the Boston Sax Shop Reeds or Rico, depending. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
A comment of yours caught my attention. You said anything but the alto, and
Oh,
why is that? Why? Why the
why?
hatred towards the alto?
Oh, it's not hate. It's just a lot of people play alto.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
I mean, There's
Right.
no real. There is all obviously a demand for like levels of alto players, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it just wasn't something that spoke to me. Even when I was starting out, it was like, it's all right, but it's not like its resonance didn't like come to me or anything. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I have one. I mean, my parents got me an alto
really?
way back when. Yeah, I do. It's a Yamaha. I think YS 32, like a student model.
Mm,
You
okay.
know, just some. It's there.
Is it really a
I did.
student model 32
I think. Oh no,
or
it's a 23. I'm sorry.
23? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the 23 is the student model. Sorry. But I actually just started teaching, and he's an alto player, so I've had to like take it out and kind of fiddle around with it. So I wouldn't mind like now that I'm like starting to teach on it, it's okay. But like to it's not my thing,
Oh,
not
okay.
like alto players that like really are
Yeah.
alto players.
I think I get what you're trying to say.
You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
I get it. Okay, so if you have given the choice, you'd rather play the bari or the tenor, and
yeah,
the alto
for
would come
sure.
in last, and the soprano is definitely out of the question.
Well, I love to get a soprano like to fiddle on, but
Hmm.
sopranos are as much as baries nowadays, you
Right.
know? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I'll find one when I find one. It'll come to me when I really want it. So right
That's right.
now, I like focusing on the lower register and
Mm-hmm.
um it's also a unique thing. Like women on bigger horns is something that's not really seen
Mm-hmm. It
for
is, yeah.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I like being part of that club.
Okay. All right. So, mga kaihip, please let me just remind you or papaalala ko po. Weh, yan, nabulol na ako sa Tagalog. Papaalala ko lang po sa inyo na si Roxy is 5'1". I'm correct, no? Roxy? Correct me if I'm wrong.
5'1".
She's
Yeah, a
5'1", but she
100
plays the...
pounds.
And she's a petite woman. I've seen her. I've met her in person in one of the
Yeah.
AMP gigs. And she does handle the baritone sax very well. So watch out, guys. All right. Okay. I guess the next question would be is your routine in
Oh, I see.
practicing. Yeah. Um, I
Okay.
guess maybe you can share with us your practice routine so that we can have an idea on how we can
Oh yeah,
also develop
for
our own
sure.
routine. Yeah, please do.
Oh yeah, for sure. So this was 3 years ago, almost like to the day. I went to New York to study with my mentors.
Hmm.
So Lauren Sevion on bari sax and Antoine Roney on tenor. So I spent 5 months in New York, studying privately and like gaining information for myself and a little
Right.
knowledge.
Hmm.
Um, and so she was the one that actually like curated this practice routine that I have now.
Hmm.
Um, she gave me a warm up. Like if you have like 10 minutes or you just don't have the time
Hmm.
to kind of get yourself psyched up for the gig,
Hmm.
what you do is so starting from middle C sharp, so
Right.
open,
Hmm.
just chromatically going down, slowly, like taking your time all the way down to like the lowest note, and then
Hmm.
doing it in the same direction up
Up.
to high F sharp.
Hmm.
So there's that like kind of long tone ish,
Hmm.
kind of just so you can get used to like kind of getting yourself physically
Ready.
ready,
Hmm.
you know.
Right.
And then she gave me this exercise of doing your scales like in the circle of fifths, in that progression. So C and then onwards until you get back to C.
Oh.
But it's so you do the major scale, but you go up the minor third above it, and then you
Hmm.
come down, and then all the way through the horn.
Okay, wait,
So
wait,
I do
wait,
that.
wait. Let me cut you there. Let's clear that out because I'm sure a lot of guys and me personally would like to know how that works. You start with C, and then you go up
Uh-huh.
to the minor third, which
Oh,
is
no.
what?
This is
Huh?
so you do the scale as normal,
Mm-hmm.
from C to C,
All right.
but you have to the exercise is to, get yourself all throughout the horn.
All right.
So you go up like the step above it. So you go up to D, but then you
Okay.
come down. And then from D all the way to D, but then you go to E, like up top.
Mm.
Yeah. And then so you're really like working out your fingers throughout the whole horn. And you can do this for your minor scales as well, sorts of scales.
Ah, okay.
But
But you.
even for me, it was a little difficult to like, what are
Mhm.
you saying to me? To this
But
woman, like, what? Like this?
yeah.
But she gave me that routine, and that she kind of instilled with me like that discipline of like everybody at whatever level they're still doing their scales.
All right. Yeah. I think we'll
you
have to
know
live with those scales till we
till you die.
can't
Like
play. Yeah.
till you can't
Right.
play anymore. You're
Mhm.
still doing scales. Like it
Mhm.
doesn't matter. Whatever level you're at in saxophone, you're still doing your scales.
Right. Right. That's right.
But yeah,
But you.
so that's the routine, and
Mhm.
um, and then I work on exercises or etudes. Now we have a lot of time to go back to things that we want to play
Mhm.
versus like pressuring ourselves to like, oh man, I have to memorize like these 10 rock songs for this gig or
Mhm.
something. You know.
Okay. All right. You were mentioning gigs. During your gigs, you be using the tenor more than the Barry. Am I correct?
Um, yeah, for sure. I use my tenor like in I use my tenor in the Blue Rats,
Right.
lenses. Yeah, definitely more tenor gigs because like, in terms of like section work, tenor is really kind of keeps the trombone and the trumpet kind of in a nice little sandwich.
Yeah.
Um, Barry, I really just use for big band.
Big band.
And when I was playing with brass bass bass, yes, I was using my Barry.
Oh, so you were part of Brass Pass 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 till now, I
Oh
suppose.
yes.
Mm.
No, I'm not playing with brass bass bass anymore.
Mm.
But
Okay.
but I mean, it was a good run while it lasted.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I was using my Barry for that. So
Mhm.
like doing the out of town gigs with my Barry was very interesting.
Wow.
um,
Getting it around would be a feat in itself, right?
a little bit. I mean, when A&P Big Band did that gig in Borongan, Samar, I had to
Mhm.
take my hard case,
Mhm.
which was a little like that for me is something I'm not used to. I'm always used to like having it on my back,
Mhm.
or at least having that case, with me to be able to do that. But
Right.
just it was like a one night thing, and
Mhm.
they said that they'd be the ones to kind of like move it and stuff. Okay, just be careful.
Mhm.
you know
I see.
um but yeah, traveling with a Barry is something for
Right.
sure.
Especially
you know
for someone in your well. Yeah. No, let's not mention that anymore.
I mean, I've done it. I've been to Bangkok with a Barry.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, I mean, I would probably oh, sorry. I would
Right.
probably like if I was gonna go over like when I was taking my lessons with Lauren Sevion, she let me borrow a horn while we were doing a lesson, like because she has two baritones,
I
so
see. So
she
you
would
didn't
be
have
on
to bring your
hers, and I
right.
no,
Yeah.
I really just lugged around my tenor around New York City for gigs and little
Mhm.
things,
You're right. Yeah.
jams or whatever,
Mhm. Oh, okay.
while I wasn't
Please,
having lessons.
all right. Please excuse my ignorance. A baritone sax is in what key? Tenor is in B flat, and the baritone
Tenor's
is.
in B flat, baritone sax is in E flat, so like alto.
Oh, it's like alto. Oh, all
It's
right.
it's basically it's octave.
Oh, okay. And how many octaves can it do? Three. The highest note would
It
be.
can go down to concert C.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the
So
highest
I
note
mean,
reachable
highest note F sharp.
F
F
sharp.
sharp.
Okay. Alrighty. Are there a lot of pieces, solo pieces for baritone sax?
Um, Gosh, it really depends who you're asking.
Hmm.
What was I trying to think now? It's a lot of like transcribed things.
Right.
Not really written for baritone.
Hmm.
So like the box suites on baritone are very nice,
Oh,
but they
okay.
weren't really, I mean, it because Barry, I mean, is closer to cello, which is what it's supposed to be played on.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
So,
that's
isn't
very
that
nice.
disappointing that there are not a lot of solo pieces for the baritone sax?
I think new composers now are taking into consideration for writing for Barry. Oh, so I'm sure there are a lot.
Hmm.
Um, it's just, I mean, that's that age old thing of like, there's just so much music out there,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So where do you go? What do you want to like? It's really hard to specify what you really want at the end
Mm,
of the day.
that is so true.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Right.
but
Okay.
I like the classical saxophone stuff is very nice. And like I remember when I went to the World Saxophone Congress in Bangkok in 2009. That was when like my ears and eyes were really open to, oh wow, there are so many different perspectives on this one
Hmm.
instrument,
Right.
you know. So
Hmm.
yeah. Um, I mean it was so different. But if you're hungry and if you're curious enough, you
Hmm.
can find all sorts of music out there and
Of
all sorts
music.
of interesting, yeah,
Hmm.
interesting things and interesting people.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think if you're going to be a student of it, you have to really be wanting to do it and very
Hmm.
hungry for it, you know.
That's right. Yeah. And to go out and look for it, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh no, for
Yeah.
sure.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
You were saying. Um,
There are a lot of forums now. I mean, Facebook is a great medium to be looking out for this stuff because there's all sorts of people doing
mhm.
all sorts of things on saxophone.
Yeah.
So if anybody is in any of these groups, like the
Right.
saxophonist groups and stuff, you can meet all sorts of people and
Mm.
you'll actually find like all sorts of opportunities within these
Mhm.
things. And you don't even have
Mhm.
to meet them in real life.
That's so true.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm one of those people that are so much into those groups now because well, I'm trying to learn how to play myself. So this is helping me a lot. Okay, this is one question I've always missed out on my other guests. Why don't we
Oh,
have saxophones on an orchestra,
why can't we?
or why don't
Or why
why
isn't
don't why
there?
don't we? Yeah,
It's too loud.
the trumpet is louder, or is it?
um, there's something about like there's articles on this and on how
Hmm.
like why. It's
Yeah.
like because trumpets and all the brass they can obviously like control their dynamic,
Mhm.
right? And they can get loud, but they can also be like super quiet.
Right.
Saxophone, it was also like to be fair, saxophone is a very new instrument
Is it?
in this. Yes,
Considering?
saxophone. Considering like how long have flutes been in existence in
Oh.
like human history? How long has stringed instruments been in existence?
Hmm.
Saxophone came into fruition in 1914. It's
Wow.
a new thing. So
Newsflash.
for
1940. She knows.
I know, guys, you have to know. You have to
Newsflash.
know your history here.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. But it's a new thing and like people like even composers then were not used to having this sort of a brash, loud voice
Mm.
in orchestra. So nobody was very tempted to include saxophone in this sort of like very controlled, very quiet sort of a thing, sort of a deal. So I think
Yeah.
that's when jazz bands were really, oh hey, that could work for something else.
Right.
It opened up something else,
Mhm.
which
But
is
there
great.
are a couple of pieces for solo saxophone with orchestra. Am I correct?
Oh yes.
There are, right? Hmm.
I have nightmares about uh, Ravel's Bolero, for
Hmm.
example.
Right.
My one time that I played with an orchestra was the tenor solo for Ravel's Bolero with the
Wow.
PPO
Oh,
in 2010.
how did that go?
Oh wow, it was an eye-opening experience for sure.
Right.
My teacher at the time was Dr. Michael Young, and so
Okay.
I think I was like his only student really on tenor at the
Okay.
time.
Hmm.
And so they had asked him to do the soprano, yeah, the soprano solo, and they were looking, and then they had asked him to maybe ask someone to do the tenor.
Hmm.
And so he took it on himself to ask me to do it.
Oh, okay.
So it was a great opportunity to be like frank and to be very honest. It was a great opportunity,
Yeah.
very like, it opened my eyes and it
Mhm.
really opened my ears to like, oh wow. Oh my God, so many of these people, like they come from a completely different background.
Yeah.
Everybody's very into like classical music,
Hmm.
you know.
Right.
And so it was like the best worst week because you have to be at CCP by downbeat, which is 9
Mm.
a.m.
Right.
I'm coming from Quezon City. That
Hmm.
means I have to leave before 7, with the traffic in Manila
Yeah.
then. It was
Hmm.
wow. But it was a great learning experience. It turned out really well. I was actually like very happy
Mm.
um, with the way it turned out. I have no idea what it sounds like.
Oh, well,
I have no idea if it's in their archives or whatever, but that would be very interesting to watch.
yeah, you should check it
But
out. Maybe they have a recording or something that
yeah, I
you
should
can check out.
actually. I
Uh
don't
huh. Yeah.
something. It'd be something to like see after, oh gosh, 10 years.
Yeah, and share with us because that is a unique, well, situation, if you can call it that, right?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was a great opportunity,
Right.
like
Right.
as like the opportunities I've been getting for recording now, like at from home and
Hmm.
like sending files. That whole learning experience, recording
Mm.
by yourself for
Yeah.
someone and stuff.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been noticing that you're a well traveled person. You're a very very lucky person because of that, and you've met a lot of interesting people.
Oh, for
Are there
sure.
some groups or gigs that you'd like to share with us that is kind of, well, the extraordinary in experience wise for you? Is there something like
Like
were you in a situation where, oh, she's watched Filipina, or oh, she's from Jakarta, or something? I don't
oh
know.
no, what's so funny is when I went to New York, I really had no expectations to be jamming there
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
anything.
You're right.
But once I got there, all
You're right.
sorts of people started getting in touch with me, like, oh, you should go to the jam here, you should watch the gig here.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never experienced discrimination like that.
Right. That
Everybody
would be
was
the
so
word.
welcoming.
Hmm.
Everybody was so welcoming and so like, here's the stage. um, blow something, like blow a little bit over this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was gosh, I have had a lot of very interesting gigs in
Hmm.
my career for
Okay.
sure.
I see.
Um, gosh, well, I had one very interesting gig in Cambodia.
Okay.
Uh, Lee Grain, if you're familiar
Sorry.
with, she's a singer.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was on The Voice for like a minute or
A minute.
something.
Okay.
I don't think she lasted too long
All right.
on The Voice.
Mm-hmm.
But so I get this call. I think it was her girlfriend manager. Somebody
Okay.
called, or no, you know what? It was Pat Sarabia. She said, "Hey, do you want to play with this girl?" Like, and then I think she's coming up with something very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. Well, why not? Like, that's always been like a good philosophy with me, it's just say yes and then figure
Yeah.
it out. Um,
Yeah.
So what had happened? So she said, okay, so let's have a meeting with Lee, and
Right.
then we'll, get something. And then, I think she's setting something up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. She got together an all girl band to do um, Cambodia. So she said, okay, so in 3 weeks we're going to Cambodia.
Mm-hmm.
Where? Phnom Penh. Oh wow, cool.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's been so long that it's like I think it's okay to talk about it. But it was a
Yeah.
very weird situation because we had no idea what we were going to be doing in
Mm-hmm.
Cambodia.
Mm-hmm.
So we've packed our bags, we're ready to go, and she says, "Oh, bring like nice clothes because the gig is like a nice party."
Right.
Okay. Um, who are we playing for? Like, if you don't mind my asking, now that we're gonna be going and like
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna be doing this thing. Oh, you'll see.
Mm.
What's mean? What?
Yeah.
And my mom was getting a little nervous because she was like, Cambodia is very famous for trafficking, right? I'm like, oh, thanks, mom. Yeah, good job. So
Mm-hmm.
when we got there, we get to a hotel. It's very nice. It's very like, okay, great. So we have the day off, and then the next day we find out we can't bring our cell phones. We
Oh,
can't bring our wallet. We can't bring we can't even bring ID to this
okay.
gig. Just don't bring anything.
You're right. Right.
Okay? We can't take pictures, no cameras,
Mm-hmm.
nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it was a private party for the Prince of Monaco.
Oh, wow.
It was very weird.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was a private party. So he and like I think seven of his friends were just hanging out in
Mm-hmm.
Cambodia.
All right. And
And
he,
we were the party band after this band that he had hired out of the Ukraine.
okay.
So there's a definite program. There's a string quartet for
Right.
cocktails,
Right.
and then like the main act, which was this weird avant-garde Ukraine band, and then the party band, Filipinas. Like
Okay. Yeah.
playing this
Yeah.
pop and like contemporary music.
Yeah.
So that was a very memorable gig.
Mm-hmm.
I've had also very cool gigs here in the Philippines for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Right.
I remember being almost trampled,
Where at?
excuse me, when I was with Radioactive Sago project in
Oh,
Naga City,
okay.
Bicol.
So the
It
fans
was a
were.
very they were going crazy. It was a little much. Like even for us, we were getting a little scared because it's just a
Mm,
lot, and they were like in my face, like this close, and like,
yeah. Yeah.
guys, we have to calm down, and then
Mm,
we can do the rest of this show.
right.
You know.
Mm, yeah.
Um, but yeah, Malasimbo. I've done Malasimbo like 6 times now.
Okay.
That's always an interesting gig, because you're playing on the side of this mountain, and the acoustics are great.
Wow.
And yeah, it's I think that's the thing, like the philosophy of just saying yes
Yeah.
and then just going with it and like
Mm.
figuring it out on the
When
way.
you get there,
you
yeah,
know?
or when on your way, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when you're on your way, you'll figure it out. It's all figure outable.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let me see. I'm enjoying your stories too much that I'm
Oh,
losing my track of myself. Okay.
no worries.
With all your travels, with all the people that you've met, I'm sure you picked up either one or two philosophies or maybe techniques that
Uh-huh.
maybe you can share with us. Are there any?
Oh
Or
gosh.
for one or two? And from whom
Hmm.
that may have been from?
Oh wow. Well, when I was studying with Antoine,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was the guy that said that like the blues is very important, you
Oh,
know,
okay.
and pentatonics, and understanding scale degrees and all this business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, gosh, tips. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's still long tones. It's still like the basics, the
Mm,
foundation
okay.
of um, of great saxophone playing is still in the basics. You know, scales
Mm,
and sound. You know,
right.
if anything, every saxophonist that I've ever met is still on that journey of finding their sound.
Mm.
If you understand what I mean,
Yeah, I think
like
I. Mhm.
you know, like Sanborn. I mean, David Sanborn. That's very signature sound, but you know, he sounds so different now than he would on an album you that he recorded in 1984, for example.
Oh.
You know, it's still him, but you can hear the evolution. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So the this understanding that the journey is very important versus the like being there,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Mhm.
Getting there
This is the
is
exciting
great.
part. Yeah.
It's like get it like the journey going there is important,
Right.
you know.
Okay.
The
So.
process is very important. And
Mhm.
like the goal is cool. Sorry,
Yeah.
my phone is running out of battery.
Oh, so
Oh Jesus.
be
Sorry,
careful.
sorry.
Never thought that we're gonna last this long, huh?
Yeah, me no, I had no idea, no expectations. Sorry, excuse me.
It's all right.
But the process is important. The goal is something you can be looking at.
Right.
Like the
Mhm.
goal is very, you know, as long as you have a goal in sight,
Mhm.
then the journey there is going to be very it'll you're going to contribute a lot to your
Mhm.
evolution if you understand that the process is very important, you know.
I guess it's only fair to say that not only for yourself, but for your fans as well, because they follow you,
Oh
they
God,
emulate you, they try to
the fans.
copy you, right? But, let's face it, I'm sure a lot you have a lot of fans
I
or followers as well.
like, I don't really think about this business. To be honest, I mean, in this age of like followers and
Yeah.
fans and stuff, I mean, I do get the odd friend request here and there of
Mm-hmm.
like, "Hi, ma'am, I'm a fan of yours,"
Right.
and stuff.
Right.
And it's like, oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I mean, also in this age of like, can I trust this person?
Yeah.
Or, you know, will they inundate me with questions? You know, these sort of like the security thing is also a big, I have to be a little bit paranoid with
Right.
this thing, you
Yeah.
know, with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
yeah.
I hope you don't mind if I get a little bit personal for our friends who are, I'm sure,
Oh, it's okay.
curious to know. Are you single? Are you married? Are you with
Oh, I'm very
someone?
single.
Take note, guys. Roxy is very
Oh, I'm very
single
single.
and ready to mingle.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
dude, you know, I mean, it's hard to think about dating,
Mm-hmm.
especially in this time, in like love in the time of Corona. That's not happening. I'm too paranoid about germs, catching
Yeah,
things. I'm
yeah. I
good.
understand.
Like, I'm actually quite happy that,
Yeah.
you know, I don't have this sort of looming
Right. Mm-hmm.
thing.
Right.
But I'm sure this quarantine business is doing a lot for relationships. If you are
Mm-hmm.
in a relationship, you know, good luck. Good luck with that.
Good
But
advice. Yeah.
otherwise, like no, not the online thing is kind of a weird concept to me
Mm.
a little bit. I don't like the dating apps so much,
Oh,
to be terribly honest with you.
I don't think you need that. Um, don't tell me that you'll be needing the dating app. No, I
I'm sorry,
seriously
what?
doubt that. I seriously doubt that you'll be needing the dating app. I was saying you don't
Oh,
need that.
well, I mean, it's hard to meet people now
Mm.
in person. um, but
Right.
you know, I mean, when things get back to when it becomes an okay thing to do to meet people, I would rather meet someone in real life
Mm. Then online.
than online. Online, you can kind of like maintain friendships online for sure,
Mm.
but I prefer it when let's say like I'm still in very good touch with a lot of my friends that I meet at
Mhm.
music festivals, for example, Java Jazz.
Mm.
I have like I'm still in very good touch with a lot of my friends that I meet at this festival.
Right.
So, Facebook kind of helps with that. And I've met a
Mhm.
lot of really great saxophonists over Facebook just because I know that they play with this band. So
Yeah.
I'll friend request them.
Mhm.
And then they come here and it's like, oh, look, you have one friend. See? Mm,
Mhm. Yeah.
you know.
There it goes. Okay. Um, all right. One question that I'd like to ask you is that is your journey is my audio okay coming in okay or is it
Yeah.
a bit weak? All right. Is your journey in
Uh,
completing your gear over, or are you still looking for the perfect setup?
oh no, that's never over, right?
Mm. Okay.
that's that's never over for saxophonists. I mean, I know guys like if anybody out there knows Doug Webb,
Mhm.
wow, that guy collects. Like he has a whole ton of horns, mouthpieces, all sorts of stuff, which is so
Mhm.
fascinating for me.
Yeah.
Also, like if you know this guy in Vietnam, TMT,
Mhm.
wow, that guy has a very large collection of horns and he's never happy. Like he's always like, oh, I have to work on this. I have to work on this horn. And
Right.
he's got like a whole list of like things to do. In terms of gear, like I'm not obsessive about like, oh, I got to get like a tenor right now,
Mhm.
or,
Mhm.
oh, that Barry looks nice. I'll get it right now. It's more like if I had the chance, oh yeah, I would totally get another Barry or I would get another tenor or two tenors, all
Mhm.
sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Or if I find like, if I find a mouthpiece that's like super cool, then yeah, definitely. But I'm not, some people are kind of just too gear hungry and they're
Yeah.
always buying things that they never wind up using, you
Mhm.
know. So I would rather put my gear into good use. And
Mhm.
then if I don't find the use for it anymore, give it away or like sell it somewhere, you know.
Mhm. So,
So yeah.
what is the logic behind that? Because I've been noticing a lot of people they keep on buying stuff, they keep on trying new mouthpieces, necks. Now, all of a sudden,
Ooh, the necks.
necks are involved now. So, oh God, it's
I don't.
more expenses for me. What is going
Yeah.
on?
It's because I mean, like I said, saxophone is a new instrument. So
Mm,
the technology for this particular instrument is
yeah, right.
always like moving. It's always progressing
Hmm.
somehow.
Hmm.
Yeah, the necks I don't understand.
I know, right?
You know, I it drives me like I'm like curious, but at the same time, it's like why would I pay $600 for a neck
Neck.
that I have
Yeah,
to I still have to go to the maker and say, can you fit it to this thing?
yeah,
And
exactly my
and
point.
gear
Yeah.
now,
Hmm.
gear now is it's getting very expensive for sure. But
Hmm.
you really pay for the quality, like Ishimori, for example.
Hmm.
That's oh wow. The how they price the ligatures and even like the screw,
Yeah,
this thing.
yeah,
I was just in Singapore last September.
right.
And I went to my friend's shop there. Daniel Chia has a great shop there in Singapore.
Hmm.
And I was looking for a screw just like this
Okay.
thing,
That little
you
thing
know, this
cost
little
you.
thing. Well, when I went to the store and tried one that fit my horn, and I was like, oh, this is very cool. How much is this?
Mhm.
This is an Ishimori. It's gold plated, something or other. It was about $100 US.
What? For a screw?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Sorry.
mean, I was like, I am good, thank you. What is the next? I mean, do you have something else? So they sold me
Yeah.
a Yamaha screw for about $30, 30 US dollars, and I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm moving on now.
That's still expensive. $30
It,
US
yeah,
for a
oh
screw,
yes,
which doesn't
yep.
really affect the sound, does it? Or- Right,
Well,
right.
there are people now like if you've heard of Reed Geek, do you know
Mm-hmm.
this
No,
company?
no.
They,
Thank God I
um,
have. Or else I'd die with expenses. Yeah, yeah.
oh
Go ahead.
god,
Tell us
all
about it.
all all these accessories are very. It's just I because it takes a lot to make them. To be
Mm-hmm.
fair, they're very specialized objects,
Right.
like accessories. So
Mm-hmm.
Reed Geek, they have it's the same concept. It's a screw, but there's a weight on it. It's very hard to describe, but I mean, you screw it on there and then there's a weight on
Yeah.
top of it. And
All right.
it's
What?
supposed to like,
What?
tighten the connection
What?
between the neck and
And the
like the body
body.
of the horn.
Right. A
And
screw. Any screw would do that.
but I mean with the
But
weight, like there's a
what?
sort of difference with it. And I'm like, okay, how much is this? It's
Okay.
about 300, it's about 150, I think is like the cheapest one. So about 300 something US dollars.
Good Lord. Seriously.
Yeah, there's all sorts of technology now, like key leaves, if you've heard of this.
No.
Oh
I'm
gosh.
glad I
This
haven't.
is very this is very interesting. For
Okay.
me, it's very interesting. So,
Yeah.
you know how sticky keys, like the G sharp
Yeah, yeah,
gets
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sticky, the C
Right.
sharp gets sticky.
Mhm.
So this guy has patented this
Mhm.
accessory where it props up certain keys on the horn
Right.
that it lets it air out. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? Do you know how
Yeah.
like when the horn is in the case, everything is closed?
Right.
So he's
This one.
developed this. Yeah. So he's
Gadget.
developed this thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's basically just like a rubber string with like props and like on the ends.
Yeah.
And so it props the keys up so that a couple of keys are open. And
Uh-huh.
so you will never get sticky keys anymore if you do this. And like from that,
Yeah.
he's gone on to make caps and
Uh-huh.
all sorts of things for the saxophone now. It's really incredible. And like with the internet, you can look at these things and say, wow, they really thought about this. And
Seriously. Yeah.
they really like took upon this problem and like figured out how to help people with it. So I mean that's the point, but they also charge you this much. I think it's like $20 for a key leaves, like sort of a prop up situation, which is, I mean, something to see. I've not seen it here in the Philippines, but it was very interesting. And I'm sure if people go to
Yeah.
NAM, you'll find all sorts of stuff there. All
Wow.
sorts.
That's crazy. I'm just beginning to find out that the saxophone is an expensive hobby. Not
It's an
really.
expensive habit.
Yeah, I
Yeah, like
know.
I mean, when I first started here in the Philippines, I thought I would be able to find berry reeds.
Mm.
And then I think I went to Ray Season. I remember this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ray Season at the time, he was selling a box of 5
Mhm.
berry reeds for about $100.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
This was when I first moved here in 2005, 2006, when I was like, oh, I
Mhm.
better look for accessories
Right.
if I'm going to take this seriously.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sorry, what? I could get 5 boxes of the same brand of reed in the US and just
Right.
have it shipped to me somehow,
Mhm. Yeah.
So a lot of the gear that I get now is imported. I don't really find this sort of like the size of reed that I'm on for tenor is very unusual. I'm on 4s, if
Really?
not 3.5, 4. Yeah.
Isn't that a bit
I
too hard for
prefer-
you?
No.
Let's just try it
Surprisingly
for you, I
enough.
guess.
Yeah, 4 is perfect. I like a little resistance on
Mhm.
my reeds.
I see.
So I mean, even when I first started playing Barry, I was on 3.5s, I think, for a really long time.
Wow.
Even when I was 12, 13, all the way through
Uh-huh.
3.5. Now I'm on a 3 because I think the 4s for tenor kind of balance it out.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier for me to find Barry reeds, but not still. I still don't find gear, unfortunately, here
Here.
in Manila.
Right.
So I still
Well,
have to kind of ship it to myself from the U.S. or
well,
anywhere, really.
well, fortunately, it's a lot easier nowadays to ship stuff from abroad.
Hmm.
So that
And
works for you. Yeah.
yeah, and I always kind of make sure to, like, if I'm in a foreign like Singapore,
Mm.
great music store. So it was always fun. It was great to look for Daniel's store.
Yeah.
And like try out the horns. I mean, he has this setup where you can try out the horns
Mm.
and like, go through whatever brands they have there.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, I think I found my dream tenor is in Singapore, but it's I think it was like a $500,000 or something.
What?
Yeah, it's a silver Mark 6.
Oh.
And
Okay.
it was, oh man, I put my mouthpiece on it, not really expecting to like it. I don't really like the vintage horns, like the ergonomics are a little strange, like, because they're just made for big hands.
Right. Right.
So, um, so I get on this Mark 6 and I'm like, oh wow, it plays like a dream. I really like this horn, like, oh
Yeah.
wow, this is so great. What is this again? It's a 6? Okay, so how much is this?
Yeah.
It was on consignment, and I think like it was equivalent to about 600. I think it was about 500 to about 650,000 pesos.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, well, I'm grateful I had a little bit of time on it, but otherwise,
Yeah.
But the price of horns now is kind of crazy.
Right.
It's a little bit nutty. I think you can get a professional level
Model?
Yamaha.
Mhm.
Yeah, professional model Yamaha for Barry for about $5,000.
That's roughly around
which is
250,000 pesos.
250,000 pesos. Yeah,
Right.
but it was not the same price as this Mark 6.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
So that's sort of the vintage culture here in the Philippines is very interesting to kind of see
Yeah.
and kind of observe.
Yeah. Okay. Where do you get your instruments maintained? Do you have a favorite technician, or do you
Oh
fix
wow.
them yourself?
Okay. Oh no, I don't. I don't do that. I'd rather just go to a specialist.
Okay.
I go to Omi.
Oh yeah.
Omi does great works.
Mm.
He has done such a great job on my tenor that I was really planning to bring my Barry to him.
Mhm.
My repairman before, Eddie Santuyo, may he rest in peace.
I see.
He was the guy that like took this Barry and turned it into something so much better. I had accidentally dropped this Barry in UP. It was in a soft case, and I'd slipped because the floors at the College of Music get slippery when it rains. I had slipped, and the Barry was on me, and so I slipped and like I fell, and the bottom stack of this Barry was completely destroyed.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Just because of that. And so I took it to Eddie, and man, when it came back to me, it was like I've never had it overhauled since then. This is how good his work is.
Wow.
I've never had it overhauled since then. I've had maybe minor repairs.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he took it and it came back to me like a brand new horn. Like just, oh man, it was a beautiful thing, and like, I miss Eddie. I'm going to miss like the drives going to Sir Eddie.
Yeah.
Because all these guys are working out from so far.
That's right. Homie himself is
really,
from Cavite, yeah.
Yeah, I've done that drive. Wow. That's a long drive,
It
but
is, yeah.
completely worth it. I mean, he took my. I just got my tenor overhauled late
Hmm.
last year.
Yeah.
I gave it back, and man, the touch
Hmm.
on it is so nice. You know, like water. You know.
Wow.
So yeah, I was planning to bring my Barry over to him
Hmm.
right before all this happened.
Right.
So you know, when things get kind of back to normal, when I can kind of earn also to get this overhauled, then
Hmm.
yeah, Omi is the guy to do it
Yeah.
for
Well, the
sure.
good news is, Omi, which is my guest on the previous episode
Oh,
right before yours,
oh,
um,
fantastic!
yeah, just announced that he can do home service, and he can actually service your.
Excuse me.
Yeah, he
Oh
can.
my,
He can do that, and he disinfects.
interesting.
That's one
I'm gonna call
option.
him tomorrow.
He can do that for you, and he can
Yeah,
service it right there, or he can pick it up and bring it home, fix it, and bring
and
it
bring
back to
it.
you. Yeah,
Oh
there you go.
wow,
That's a service for
fantastic!
you. Yeah. So okay,
That's great.
you know what, Rox? Time flies so fast. We're almost
Oh
hitting
God.
2 hours. Believe it or not.
Oh wow. Whoops.
Yeah. No, no, no. It's actually a good thing.
Oh
Although
great.
YouTube discourages um, us content makers to having such long videos, but who cares?
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
Believe it or not.
Fascinating.
Mm. But
Huh.
we're having such a nice conversation that I didn't really notice. So hopefully we can have a part two one of these
Oh yeah,
days.
sure. Anytime.
Yeah,
That'd
and
be great.
maybe that we can have some sample playing for our part two.
Yeah, sure. Why
Great,
not?
great.
Something.
Okay, so
Something.
yeah, before we go, as always, I have this thing. I know you gave a couple of tips already, but
Uh-huh.
just think of one important tip that you can share with our viewers, which we call the pro tip of the day. Rocks?
Pro t- pro tip of the day.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Listen, you're always gonna have to listen,
Hmm.
right?
Mm.
So in terms of like if you're studying saxophone, and I think we're all still studying saxophone, we're all continuously listening to people that we emulate and want to emulate and want
Hmm.
and admire
Hmm.
and want to be, a part of that sound. And
Right.
you want to kind of take that sound and have it ingrained within yourselves. It takes a lot of listening. So if you can,
Hmm.
always be listening to your favorite players, or even exploring outside of your favorite players. Where did they get their sound? Who are they listening to?
Hmm.
So always, please be listening.
Wow. That
That's my pro tip for
great.
anybody studying this fantastic instrument.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you're watching with me, Roxy Modesto, a very, very good baritone player and a tenor player as well. And I'm very, very lucky to have her as my guest for this episode of Let's Talk About Sax. And Roxy, thank you very much for your time
No,
and
thank you. Thank you for the
for
opportunity to share.
wow. The pleasure and the honor is all mine. Again, hopefully we can have a part two one of these
For sure.
days. Great,
Or
great.
for sure. Thank you so
Uh-huh.
much.
Yeah. Um, Before we say goodbye, what are the groups that you play for or with so that our friends know
Oh,
where to look for you or catch
okay.
you? Hmm.
Well, I'm still with A&P Big Band.
Right.
We still have our album out. I hope like that gets to streaming platforms somehow, some way. It's a great
Hmm.
album.
Hmm.
A&P Big Band. The Blue Rats, we're doing a lot of quarantine jams. So we're releasing a lot of stuff on YouTube right now. If you can, check that stuff out.
Yeah.
Lenses with Aaron Gonzalez and those guys.
Great.
A couple of songs are already coming out.
Hmm.
And a lot of new things, like especially during quarantine. There's an all-girl group with Jazzy Manuel,
Hmm.
which is great. We just came out with a cover of Beyonce's "Work It Out," and then
Wow.
Bobby Velasco today. He just released his original composition, which I'm very honored to be proud of, and proud of to you know to be a part of. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So he just came out with it today. It's called Niked, Niked. It's on
Mhm.
Facebook and YouTube.
Great.
Check it out. If you like it, share it.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a lot of good things are coming in, even with quarantine and all this stuff happening. So
Yeah. Well, I guess that
staying grateful.
yeah, that's the good. Well, at least that's a good thing about the quarantine. We're producing a lot of material. We're coming up with
Yes.
a lot of practice time, and we're making good
Oh
use of it.
yes.
So yeah. So
Oh
there.
yeah.
All right. So,
Great.
ladies and gentlemen, I'll be sharing with you the links where you can get in touch and connect with Roxy. She has a YouTube channel, of course, her Facebook, and a lot of her videos will be there as well. Do check them out. I'll have it in the description down below. And if you do like the video that you just saw today, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe to Roxy's channel as well because you'll be seeing a lot of cool videos from this woman who is very very talented. So uh, do
Thanks so
check out
much.
do check out the description down below. Give us a thumbs up, click the subscription button, and be a notification bell so that you know that we have new video out for you. And as always, this has been your friend together with Roxy. Roxy, thank you very much. Would you like to say your parting words to our friends?
Thank you so much for listening. It's very nice that people are still listening and still watching this stuff.
Yeah,
Continue your passion about saxophone, and obviously keep listening.
there you
Yeah.
go. Roxy, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I,
Thank you.
I had a very great time. And it's been 2 hours almost, and didn't
It flies, man.
notice it. All right,
Yeah.
then. So once again,
Great.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you're still there after all these times. But you can still go back to the video anytime you want. It's just there. So again, as always, stay safe, stay healthy, stay apart muna tayo, and make sure that you're healthy. And let's get over with 2020 as fast as we can. Hopefully, this thing is over and done with, so that we can get together, party, and have some gigs, have some music going on live on stage, and hopefully we'll see Roxy
Yes.
on one of those stages. Righty,
Thank you
so
so much.
stay healthy, thank you, and keep the music playing. Thank you very much.